This is CNN Breaking News.
And we have breaking news into CNN. There has been an incident at a nightclub in Istanbul. Here are the pictures that we are looking at now. This is from our affiliate at CNN, Turk, which is showing us what is taking place there. These are emergency responders who are outside of the club. And now we have seen people being carried out of the club and people beginning to gather and try to figure out just what kind of damage has been done. We see some of those workers waving off people away to get them away from the scene. Clearly, this is a situation that they are still trying to sort out now. We are going to be following this very closely. As soon as we get more information, we're going to bring this to you as we can. Again, an incident at a nightclub in Istanbul, Turkey, and emergency workers, as you see, escorting people away from that nightclub. We're going to bring you more as soon as we learn more details.
Well, earlier I spoke to our Turkey correspondent Mark Lowen, who gave us the latest.
We're hearing that at least 35 people have been killed and 40 people have been injured. Some of them are in a critical condition. The attack targeted the Reyna nightclub here in Istanbul. It's close to the Bosphorus Bridge, which you might be able to pick out behind me. It is one of the most popular nightclubs in Istanbul, indeed in Turkey. And it happened shortly after midnight when at least one attacker entered the nightclub. He sprayed bullets outside the nightclub before entering. There are reports that at least one was dressed in a Santa Claus outfit and then entered the nightclub spraying bullets from a Kalashnikov rifle inside, killing civilians, and we understand at least one police officer. We are told that at least 500 or 600 people were inside the nightclub when the attacker struck. They were, of course, celebrating New Year's Eve, bidding farewell to a very traumatic year in Turkey's modern history. And there are reports also that some of those people inside the nightclub jumped into the Bosphorus, the sea on which the nightclub was situated, in order to try to evade the attack.
And Mark, some 17,000 extra police officers on duty on New Year's Eve across Turkey, just in order to try and contain such an awful eventuality.
Yeah, I mean, public gatherings had already been cancelled on Taksim Square, in other areas of the city. Istanbul has been on high alert. Of course, this has been a year that has seen a wave of deadly terror attacks, both by so-called Islamic State, but also by the Kurdish militant group, the PKK. At least 22 terror attacks this year have killed 360 people. And so it has been a very, very distressing year for Turkey, a very grim year that this nation was hoping to put behind them, and therefore people were celebrating tonight, albeit in an atmosphere of heightened security, with people prevented from going into the centre of the city, with areas of Istanbul cordoned off, areas of Ankara as well. But this appears to have been a targeted attack on a very popular nightclub that will send shockwaves through the country and will show just how vulnerable Turkey remains after a very grim year of terror attacks.
One of the national television stations saying that special police force officers are currently still searching the nightclub. You mentioned the PKK, you mentioned Islamic State. Of course, the answer is we still don't know. Yet the governor of Istanbul coming out with a very strong statement that he said, without doubt, this was terrorism.
Yeah, I mean, clearly this was a terror attack, and this country, sadly, it has become accustomed to such attacks that have targeted public areas, that have targeted police, that have targeted security forces. What has tended to happen, Gavin, is that the PKK, the Kurdish militant group, has targeted the security forces, police, and army and the like. You'll remember a few weeks ago there was a twin bombing here in Istanbul outside the Beşiktaş football stadium that targeted police. That was claimed by a Kurdish militant group. But then there have been attacks on more public areas like Istanbul Airport back in June that killed 48 people. That was claimed by so-called Islamic State. The fact that this hit a a nightclub with revelers, with civilians among the casualties, that would point, I suppose, towards the Islamic State group. But at this stage, I suppose it's too early to tell exactly who was behind this attack. We know that IS has released a video saying that Turkey is very much targeted by the group, that they are trying to wreak havoc in Turkey. Turkey's become ever more embroiled in the war in Syria. It's launched a ground operation in Syria earlier this year to try to target IS. So I think the finger of suspicion will probably point towards IS. But as I say, Kurdish militancy is very much at play here, as is a homegrown left-wing group as well that is classified by Turkey as a terrorist group. So this is a vulnerable country, and that is the sad state of affairs that Turkey bids farewell to 2016 and begins 2017 in yet another terror attack in the heart of Turkey's most popular and biggest city.
Mark Lowen there. Aykan Erdemir is a former Turkish Member of Parliament. He's now a senior fellow with the Foundation for Defence of Democracy, a policy institute based in Washington. And we asked him whether the attackers were likely to be targeting the nightclub or the celebration of New Year's Eve.
This was not only targeting of one of Istanbul's top nightclubs, but also a symbolic target, that is targeting a secular lifestyle, targeting Western lifestyle, and it's in fact quite similar to the Paris attack in the sense that the Islamic State, if it's confirmed that they were behind the attack, is yet again trying to undermine Turkey's secular Western lifestyle. So from that point of view, this is not only a matter of hard security, but it is at the same time an ideological battle. It is as if a clashing of different worldviews, and therefore it's not only limited to the Islamic State, because in the run-up to this attack for the last 2 weeks, Turkey has had quite an intense debate about Christmas celebrations, about New Year's celebrations, and other Islamists, maybe not as violent or as radical as the Islamic State, have also been involved in pointing the finger to the seculars in Turkey, to the kind of more Western-oriented citizens in Turkey, and by targeting them and threatening them not to celebrate New Year's, conflating New Year's with Christmas, and arguing that this is illegitimate, this is basically a kind of a Christian propaganda, this is undermining Islam. So that cultural battle, unfortunately, ended within the first hours of the new year with this terrible, bloody attack.
So, Mr. Erdemir, have various organisers of Christmas or New Year events been pressured or received threats not to hold events by Islamists? Yes,
in fact, there were even billboards. And as we all know, Turkey is a country where freedom of speech and expression is not necessarily guaranteed. But when various Islamist organizations and movements decided to target people celebrating Christmas or New Year's through billboards, through kind of public announcements, that the government has been extremely tolerant of such discourse. So, in fact, many people this year chose to stay at home. They didn't feel secure enough to go out. Many of the street parties were cancelled. So this was quite a low-key year in terms of New Year's celebration, but that still did not prevent this attack. So I think it's very important to disentangle the two different phenomena here. On the one hand, yes, this is a horrible Islamic State attack, and as we all know, there are attacks all around the world, and it's quite difficult to contain those. But at the same time, Turkey has another battle, a battle for its soul, a battle for its orientation. On the one hand, a vision of a more pluralist, inclusive, multicultural Turkey where New Year's and Christmas celebrations are commonplace, and on the other hand, kind of a more intolerant, a more authoritarian Turkey where kind of a straitjacket of conservative Islamism is imposed on society to turn it into kind of a more homogeneous, monocultural, monofaith society. So today's attack will also initiate debates about the future orientation of Turkish society and politics.
No group has yet claimed responsibility, to be clear, but what is it that you think the Turkish government should now be doing to try and answer all these different attacks?
Yes, this is quite a challenge, and it's a challenge not only for the Turkish state, of course, but also for many other European Union states suffering similar attacks. So I would argue that the priority should be to refocus Turkey's security apparatus on real hard terrorist threats instead of going after kind of dissident academics, dissident journalists, dissident literary figures and NGOs. As we all know, Turkey's security apparatus and law enforcement have lately been busy full-time with cracking down on democratic dissent in Turkey. Instead, Turkey that faces all these violent threats, not only from the Islamic State, but from a long list of terrorist organizations, should make it a priority to go after terrorist organizations. So that's the first strategy. But Turkey needs a two-pronged strategy. At the same time, Ankara should make sure to tackle this climate of fear, climate of intolerance, climate of hate that breeds radicalism, that allows jihadists to recruit militants easily. So unless Turkey works on inculcating a culture of pluralism, inclusivity, and tolerance, it will be easy for radicals to recruit new militants for their future attacks.
That was Aykan Erdemir there, former Turkish Member of Parliament. We'll stay with us on BBC News. We've got more to come. Let's just have a look at the live shots now outside the Reina nightclub that was attacked round about 1 o'clock local time in the morning, after people, of course, celebrating the new year. And they'll have plenty more on this coming up in the latter half of this programme. Of course, there's plenty more for us on the website too. And also to come,